John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States, is often overshadowed by the conspiracy theories surrounding his assassination in 1963. However, delving into his life reveals a story that extends beyond his presidency. To truly grasp the essence of JFK, one must understand the intricacies of his family history. The Kennedys, often hailed as American royalty, symbolize the epitome of the American dream. This narrative traces back to the humble beginnings of Patrick Kennedy and Bridget Murphy, who migrated from Ireland to the United States in the 1800s. Patrick's premature passing left Bridget widowed and a sole provider for her family. She navigated life as a full-time maid for a wealthy Boston family, laying the groundwork for the Kennedy legacy. After a few years, Bridget Kennedy managed to save up enough money to open a general store. Her son, Patrick Jr., affectionately known as PJ, began working alongside her at the age of 14. In his 20s, PJ ventured into entrepreneurship by opening an Irish pub, which proved to be a lucrative endeavor. With his newfound success, he expanded his business ventures, acquiring a bar in an upscale hotel and even a local bank. PJ's son, Joseph P. Kennedy, was the first to reap the rewards of his family's hard work. Joseph pursued his education at Harvard University, where he gained exposure to high society. Despite facing discrimination due to his Irish Catholic background, Joseph was determined to defy stereotypes and achieve financial success. Joseph eventually married Rose Fitzgerald, the daughter of the mayor of Boston. Together, they raised 9 children. Their eldest son, Joseph Jr., was earmarked for greatness from infancy, with his parents envisioning him as a future president of the United States. Their second son, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, born on May 29, 1917, was affectionately known as Jack. The Kennedy family continued to grow, with Rose giving birth to 7 more children. Throughout their upbringing, the Kennedy children witnessed their father's relentless pursuit of success, culminating in his attainment of millionaire status before the age of 35. During the 1920s, Joseph Kennedy was relentless in his pursuit of wealth, employing various means to achieve his goals. Exploiting the era of prohibition, he capitalized on the impending changes to alcohol laws by purchasing large quantities of liquor. Collaborating with figures like Sam Giancana, linked to the Chicago mob, Kennedy operated speakeasies, further bolstering his financial gains. Additionally, he ventured into the stock market, engaging in schemes that skirted legality and amassed him millions. As a result, Joseph Kennedy emerged as the wealthiest Irish Catholic in the United States. Fueled by his desire for power and influence, Kennedy delved into politics. His charisma and intellect caught the attention of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who appointed him as the ambassador to Great Britain. This achievement marked a pinnacle in Kennedy's lifelong endeavor to demonstrate the success of Irish men, proving their capability to rival their English counterparts. Moreover, Kennedy harbored aspirations for his sons, particularly Jack Kennedy, envisioning a future where one of them would ascend to the presidency. Jack Kennedy, characterized by his captivating blue eyes, faced health challenges from infancy. Afflicted by whooping cough, chickenpox, measles, and scarlet fever by the tender age of 3, he battled illness early in life. Despite these setbacks, Jack's resilience would prove to be a defining trait as he embarked on his journey into adulthood. Jack also grappled with a diagnosis of Addison's disease, which resulted in frequent hospitalizations during his youth. Despite doctors warning his parents of the uncertainty of his survival into adulthood, Jack remained remarkably upbeat and full of life. Known for his infectious positivity, he never allowed his illnesses to dampen his spirits, often charming those around him with his humor and jovial demeanor. Even his siblings found lightness in his condition, jesting that a mere mosquito bite could prove fatal for Jack. Growing up amidst encounters with members of the British aristocracy, the Kennedy children imbibed traditional etiquette, embodying a unique blend of all-American charm and British sophistication. While most of the siblings resided with their father in London, Jack and his older brother Joe Jr. attended Choate Rosemary Hall, a prestigious private high school in Connecticut. Joe Jr. epitomized the golden boy archetype, excelling in academics and sports while exuding charisma and popularity. In stark contrast, Jack, influenced by his precarious health, embraced life with a fervent zeal, conscious of the fragility of his existence. Despite academic struggles, Jack's resilience shone through, and he defiantly faced prejudice for his Irish heritage. Rather than succumbing to bullying, Jack reclaimed the derogatory nickname Marker, proudly wearing a gold shovel charm necklace. He even established the Markers Club, dedicated to playful pranks, transforming the once insulting term into a badge of honor. One notable prank planned by Kennedy involved hauling a large quantity of manure onto the school's dance floor, intending to capture the reactions of students and teachers upon discovery. However, the dean caught wind of the scheme, prompting a parent-teacher conference with Joseph Kennedy. Jack faced imminent expulsion, but his father intervened, preventing the drastic consequence. With a knowing smile, Joseph Sr. imparted a valuable lesson to Jack, that he need not adhere to conventional rules. The Kennedys' wealth and influence often smoothed over such situations. Tragically, Jack's penchant for risk-taking led to a serious injury during a football game, resulting in a ruptured disc in his back. Months of surgeries and hospitalization followed, with Jack never fully recovering. The injury left him with chronic pain for the remainder of his life. Following high school graduation, Jack matriculated to Harvard University. Beyond his academic pursuits, he immersed himself in extracurricular activities, notably joining the swimming and sailing teams, where his charisma earned him a reputation as a ladies' man. Despite harboring a passion for English literature, his father steered him towards studying political science and law. Joseph Kennedy Sr. also orchestrated summer jobs for Jack and his older brother Joe Jr. at the American Embassy in London. Through correspondence with his father, Jack delved into political discussions, gaining invaluable insights into European affairs as World War II loomed on the horizon. For his senior thesis, Jack penned a book titled Why England Slept, echoing his father's convictions regarding Britain's lack of preparedness for the impending conflict. The publication catapulted John F. Kennedy into the realm of political expertise at a remarkably young age, becoming a bestseller in the process. Meanwhile, Joseph Kennedy Sr., residing in London, grappled with America's potential involvement in the war. Despite his isolationist stance, advocating against U.S. intervention, his controversial statement expressing belief in negotiating a peace treaty with Adolf Hitler led to allegations of Nazi sympathies. Consequently, he was compelled to resign as ambassador. Both Jack and Joe Jr. aspired to enlist in the Navy upon America's entry into World War II in 1941. However, Jack's past back injury rendered him unfit for service following a medical examination, thwarting his aspirations for military involvement. Despite his back injury, Jack's father managed to secure his passage into the military by greasing the palms of Army officials. While Joe Jr. pursued a career as a pilot in Europe, Jack assumed command of a torpedo ship named PT-109 in the South Pacific. Enduring near-constant pain from his back, Jack's proficiency in swimming and sailing, honed during summers past, proved invaluable. During the war, PT-109 came under Japanese attack and began to sink. Displaying remarkable courage and leadership, Jack spent 3 hours ensuring the safety of all survivors. Among them was Patrick McMahon, severely burned and unable to move. Jack, the strongest swimmer among them, towed McMahon using a string from his life jacket clenched between his teeth. Guiding his men to safety, they swam 3 miles to a nearby island, where they were eventually rescued a week later. Returning home, Jack weighed a mere 120 pounds and endured excruciating pain. Despite his ordeal, he was honored with the Navy and Marine Corps Medal for his valor. His family celebrated his bravery with a jubilant party. However, amidst the festivities, Jack's older brother Joe Jr. grappled with a profound sense of inadequacy, feeling he had not lived up to expectations as a war hero. In a tragic turn, Joe Jr. embarked on a perilous mission to transport sensitive explosives in a plane. Tragically, the aircraft exploded mid-air, claiming Joseph Kennedy Jr.'s life at the young age of 29. Despite his reluctance and initial aspirations of a life as a writer and sailor, Jack Kennedy found himself thrust into the world of politics following the tragic death of his older brother, Joe Jr. His father, Joseph Kennedy Sr., who had harbored aspirations of political success for his sons, turned to Jack to fulfill these ambitions. With his father's wealth and connections, JFK's political career received a significant boost. Supported by his siblings, who devoted themselves to his campaign, Jack quickly ascended through the ranks, first in the House of Representatives and then in the Senate. In 1953, Jack Kennedy married Jacqueline Bouvier, a young socialite and journalist at the Washington Times-Herald. Jacqueline, like Jack, hailed from a wealthy East Coast family and had been groomed for a life of prestige. Fluent in multiple languages, including French, Italian, and Spanish, Jacqueline's linguistic skills would prove invaluable in her future role in international diplomacy. Shortly after their marriage, JFK penned his second book, Profiles in Courage, which garnered him a Pulitzer Prize. By 1960, at the age of just 43, JFK secured the Democratic nomination for the presidency, setting the stage for his historic bid for the highest office in the land. Jack Kennedy endeared himself to the public with his relatable demeanor. Sporting a Boston accent, he wasn't hesitant to visit factories and connect with ordinary Americans. Despite his wealthy background, the Kennedys were perceived as self-made, contributing to his down-to-earth image. In the eyes of young voters seeking change in the 1960s, JFK embodied the quintessential American ideal. Upon assuming the presidency in 1961, Jack appointed his younger brother Bobby as Attorney General, despite Bobby's youth at 35 years old. The media was captivated by the Kennedys, with Jackie's White House interior design prowess and French fashion sense making headlines. However, behind the scenes, Jackie served as Jack's pillar of support. Spending countless nights translating foreign texts, she provided him with a sanctuary away from work. Jack cherished time with their children, John Jr. and Carolyn, with the Oval Office often strewn with their toys. Beginning each day watching cartoons and sharing cereal with them underscored his commitment to family. Despite his enchanting family life, JFK was plagued by notorious extramarital affairs. Rumors swirled about his involvement with movie star Marilyn Monroe, substantiated by frequent calls to the White House. Despite Jackie's awareness of his infidelity, she remained steadfast, opting to preserve their marriage for the sake of Jack's political career. Reflecting on their time in the White House, Jackie described it as a perpetual sense of wonder, akin to a child on Christmas morning, immersed in the historic surroundings. The Kennedys' youthful vigor is credited with propelling America through the space race, with JFK's leadership contributing to the nation's lunar landing. Despite the pressures of the presidency, Jack exuded genuine enjoyment, often flashing a smile mid-question from journalists, armed with a clever retort. He treated his press conferences almost like they were an audience for jokes that he was writing in his spare time. One day he was holding a piece of paper as if he was about to say something serious to the crowd. He then looked up and said, "I'm about to make an important announcement. The world is not like the Andy Hardy movies after all." He smiled, and the room burst out in laughter. Even though he was always smiling for the press, John F. Kennedy was an expert at hiding his pain. He has been credited with saving the United States from the Cuban Missile Crisis and preventing nuclear war. During the Eisenhower administration, the CIA was planning to invade Cuba to bring down the communist leader, Fidel Castro. When JFK was sworn into office in January in 1961, he was briefed on the plan that was already underway. This was the famous mission known as the Bay of Pigs, and unfortunately, it was a failure. After this, Fidel Castro captured American soldiers and threatened the United States with nuclear bombs. After a series of negotiations, Kennedy agreed to send $53 million in baby food and medication to Cuba in exchange for the lives of American prisoners. By 1962, the threat of nuclear war had subsided. In a collection of interviews called the Jackie Kennedy tapes, we learn that it was terrifying for the young couple to enter office and immediately have such a huge burden on their shoulders. During the Cuban Missile Crisis, JFK was so upset about the possibility of nuclear war that he hardly slept and one day simply bled into the next. She also said that they had a conversation about what to do in the case of an attack. Jacqueline was more than willing to die with Jack. She said that if there was not enough time to get to the bunker, she would stand beside him on the White House lawn to watch the world end. Jack Kennedy truly did care for the American people, and he loved them even if he didn't know them personally. His wife, Jackie, said that he would often come home sobbing whenever he heard any tragic news of Americans dying. He had first-hand experience serving in World War II, so the last thing he wanted was for the United States to get involved in the Vietnam War. The media accused him of being soft on communism, but he was firm in his decision. If he had lived to complete a second term, there is a strong possibility that the 58,220 Americans who died in Vietnam would have been spared that fate. However, as history tells us, Lyndon B. Johnson declared war on Vietnam in 1964. On November 22, 1963, John F. Kennedy and his presidential motorcade were traveling through the streets of Dallas, Texas. Jack was waving to the crowd, seated beside his wife Jackie, in the back of a 1961 Lincoln Continental. Texas Governor John Connally and his wife were seated in front of them. As they passed the Texas School Book Depository, at least 3 shots rang out. Jack was struck in the neck, and the next shot proved fatal, hitting him in the head. Connally was also hit by at least 1 bullet. John F. Kennedy was pronounced dead, and Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson assumed the presidency. The entire nation was shocked. People vividly recall where they were when they heard the news of Jack Kennedy's assassination, and the country mourned its president. A man named Abraham Zapruder happened to be in the crowd during the attack, capturing footage of the parade with his 8mm camera. While he was not the only one filming that day, his footage provided the clearest picture of what occurred. Upon assuming office, Lyndon B. Johnson ordered an investigation, known as the Warren Commission, to examine the facts surrounding the shooting, including a detailed analysis of the Zapruder film. Allen Dulles, the head of the CIA, was among the committee members, and many suspect his influence tainted the investigation's findings. The Warren Commission ultimately concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. Lee Harvey Oswald, the prime suspect in JFK's assassination, was already under investigation for potential collaboration with the Soviet Union and suspected terrorism. He was employed at the Texas School Book Depository, where he allegedly positioned his gun. However, before he could stand trial, Oswald was fatally shot 2 days later by Jack Ruby, an incident that unfolded live on television. The circumstances surrounding these events seemed suspicious to many, fueling widespread belief in a larger conspiracy. The Warren Commission's findings, attributing the assassination to Oswald acting alone, are met with skepticism by numerous individuals. One particularly contentious aspect is the so-called magic bullet theory, which posits that a single bullet caused multiple wounds to both JFK and Governor Connally, remaining intact despite this trajectory. A notion that strains credulity. Many doubt the official narrative, suggesting there may have been more than 3 shots fired and potentially multiple gunmen involved. Some speculate that the 3rd bullet was planted in the car post-assassination by the CIA. If corroborated, this theory would implicate a broader conspiracy rather than a lone extremist. The existence of alternative footage, such as the grassy knoll footage purportedly captured by Orville Nix, is cited as potential evidence of a second shooter. However, the government's seizure of this footage and subsequent alterations, as claimed by Nix, fuel suspicions of a cover-up. Gail Nix Jackson, granddaughter of Orville Nix, filed a $10 million lawsuit against the U.S. government to reclaim her family's original film, which they claim to no longer possess. In 2017, the CIA released thousands of previously classified records pertaining to JFK's assassination. While shedding more light on the case, these documents do little to substantiate any specific conspiracy theory. The full truth behind JFK's assassination may forever elude us, and if indeed there was a cover-up, we are powerless to change the past. In contemplating the events surrounding his death, one can't help but wonder what JFK himself would make of his legacy. He lived each day to its fullest, and when reflecting on his life, he expressed a desire for more moments of joy. Jacqueline Kennedy's poignant words resonate, describing Jack as youthful, charismatic, and effortlessly captivating. He possessed a unique ability to connect with people on a profound level, leaving an indelible mark on all those he encountered. If you made it to the end, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Comment down which president should I do next.